Some of you are not struggling because you lack discipline. You are struggling because control has become the condition under which you allow yourself to feel okay. That is different because discipline is something you use. Control dependence is something your system relies on. And here's the part most people miss. This pattern doesn't feel wrong. It feels responsible. It feels correct. If I don't stay on top of this, it's going to fall apart. Let me just tighten this up real quick. I just need it done the right way. So you don't question it. You reinforce it. And if control is what makes you feel stable, then what happens when you're not in control? Hold that. People praise it. They call it reliable, structured, disciplined, high functioning. But let's slow this down. What gets rewarded gets repeated. You stayed late to fix something no one asked you to fix. Everyone said, "You're amazing." But internally, you weren't proud. You were relieved that nothing was wrong. That's not just productivity. That's regulation. So the real question is not, does this work? What is this costing you to function this way? You look composed, but internally you are bracing. You look disciplined, but internally you are rigid. You look productive, but internally you are exhausted. And here's the problem. This doesn't just make sense logically. It feels right in your body. Your body tightens, not because something is wrong, but because something is not controlled. So control doesn't just organize your life. It regulates your nervous system. We need precision. Obsessive compulsive personality disorder, OCPD, is not obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD. OCD is intrusive, unwanted thoughts and compulsions. OCPD is a personality pattern that feels correct. As outlined in the DSM-5-TR, a pervasive pattern of preoccupation with orderliness, perfectionism, and control at the expense of flexibility, openness, and efficiency. That last part matters because this is where excellence becomes restriction. 1. Process over purpose. You focus so much on how, you lose why. Real-time recognition. You spend 3 hours formatting something that only needed 30 minutes of clarity. 2. Perfectionism blocks completion, not excellence. Exposure avoidance. You reread the email 6 times, not improving it, just removing the possibility of being wrong. 3. Work as regulation. Work becomes stability, identity, emotional control. If I stay productive, I don't have to feel this. 4. Rigid rightness, not values. Intolerance of difference. If it's not done this way, it's wrong. 5. Difficulty letting go, not sentiment. Fear of uncertainty. 6. Delegation collapse, not incompetence in others. Intolerance of variation. You say, "I'll just do it," not because they can't, but because they won't do it your way. 7. Money as safety control, not just saving. Threat management. 8. Rigidity. Cannot bend without tension. This is where most people realize this isn't just preference. This is not just behavior. This is a learned equation. Control equals safety. Because control reduces uncertainty, exposure, vulnerability, helplessness. So your system adapts. If I stay in control, I stay okay. Inside your system, controller, tighten it. Critic, don't be wrong. Performer, do more. Protector, prevent failure. Fear, if this slips, we collapse. So when someone says relax, they are talking to the wrong part. Instead of removing the controller, ask, what are you afraid will happen if you don't take over? Now you're not fighting the system, you're working with. You already know the benefits. Let's expand the awareness. What has this pattern quietly taken from you? relationships, rest, flexibility, creativity, ease. You finished everything, but you couldn't enjoy any of it. In the moment, ask, is this intentional or automatic? Is this deliberate or reactive? Is this creative or pattern? If I don't control this, what do I think will happen next? That exposes the fear driving the action. Think, it must be right. Speak, I'll do it. Do, control everything. Relief, reinforcement. Think, this feels uncomfortable, not unsafe. Speak, let me try this differently. Do, allow variation, tension, growth. Let's get precise. You are not just repeating this pattern, you are devoted to it. Because here's the confrontation. You are not devoted to excellence. You are devoted to avoiding the feeling of being wrong, not removing structure, creating freedom inside structure. Submit at 90, adaptive practice. Submit at 90%. Let someone do it differently. Leave something imperfect. Rest before everything is done, and notice, tension doesn't equal danger. Tension equals expansion. If nothing changes, your life doesn't collapse. It contracts. Relationships strain, energy depletes, flexibility disappears, connection reduces. Not because you failed, because you controlled too tightly. It starts as like structure, becomes I'm the one who does it right, then becomes if I'm not in control, I'm not okay. You didn't build a standard. You built a self that requires control to exist. This was learned, possibly through criticism, conditional approval, unpredictability, performance-based worth. So the system adapted, be correct, be prepared, be in control. This is not cognitive. This is physiological. Tight chest, shallow breathing, scanning, anticipation. So when you try to let go, your body interprets that as risk, not because it is dangerous, but because it is unfamiliar. Healing equals tolerated looseness. Here are some adaptive reps. Send it without overchecking. Let silence exist. Allow imperfection. Delegate without correcting. You let it go at 90%, your body tightened. Nothing bad happened. That's how capacity is built. Some of you delay completion to avoid judgment. Can't rest without guilt. Struggle with delegation. Get irritated by difference. Feel responsible for everything. And here's the truth. You don't know how to feel okay without control. This is not about becoming less. It's about becoming more flexible, not lowering standards, but choosing where they actually matter. You didn't build control because you were strong. You built it because it felt safer than uncertainty, exposure, softness, vulnerability, and it worked. But something can protect you and still imprison you. Can you be stable without rigidity? Responsible without over control? Safe without total command? If yes, you're not losing strength, you're gaining capacity. You don't have to lose control to grow, but you do have to stop needing it to feel okay. Because as long as control is your safety, flexibility will feel like a threat. And until that changes, your life will stay structured but not free. Understanding your psychology matters. It helps you see the patterns shaping your life. See it clearly. Work with it intentionally. Expand your capacity. Understand clearly. Integrate deeply. Grow yourself great.